dispense with the negatives. For the first time in 4 years, there is no horse here with a chance to win the Triple Crown. In addition, for the first time in 30 years, neither the Derby or Preakness winner will be in today's Belmont Stakes. Well, there's the favorite, Aptitude. After finishing second in the Derby, he was rested, passing up the Preakness. He and 3 other horses, Curul, Commendable, and Wheelaway, are trying to do something never achieved, to run in the Derby, and then with no race in between, to win the Belmont. Here's my favorite partner on these telecasts and elsewhere, Al Michaels.
Okay, guys, let's take a look right now at the field one by one. And Hank, let's begin with Postpone. You should be more of a local favorite than this one, the Peter Pan, but you can still get 12 to 1 on him right now.
He did win the Peter Pan here, but in that race, he was running at 13 pounds lighter. In fact, he was 10 pounds lighter than Unshaded in that race. And the question is, will he bounce?
Dave, here is Commendable, 17th in the Kentucky Derby, but what connections? Wayne Lukas, Pat Day, and Bob and Beverly Lewis.
And Al Commendable had a real traffic jam when he ran in the Lexington Stakes in April. Then 2 weeks later, he ran a wide but miserable 17th in the Kentucky Derby. He really has to step up today, even though he's had 5 weeks rest.
Dave, Jim Toffel, the owner, decides I'm going to spend $100,000 to try to win $600,000 as he supplements Unshaded into the race.
Now, you know, for 40 years before 1957, geldings were not allowed to run in the Belmont Stakes. Now, the owners have put that big money up. What a vote of confidence with no breeding value in stake. But remember, in the Peter Pan, this horse carried 10 pounds more than Postponed. Level weights today.
Hank, Aptitude has won only 1 race, but he did finish second to Fusaichi Pegasus in the Derby.
He's by AP Indy. He's got Coastal on the dom side, impeccably bred. Lack of pace could hurt him here, could take him out of his game because he's a closer.
Globalize is a horse trained by Jerry Hollendorfer, not a big name in the industry outside of Northern California, but he's the best conditioner there, has been for years.
He's consistent, too. He's actually won 5 out of 10, never thrown in a bad race, won the Grade 2 Spiral, but he's 0 for 2 against Unshaded, and he also ran behind Postponed in the Peter Pan.
Dave, every time we see a horse from Dubai, I always think we should accompany him with some mysterious music. Here's Curul.
Well, this horse traveled 12 time zones from Dubai. He got to the Louisville airport on Wednesday before the Derby, and then 3 days later he ran a very creditable 7th in the run for the Roses. He's been working well. He appears to like Belmont Park. He could be any kind of horse.
Dave, we heard Todd Pletcher and Charles talk about impeachment. What do you think of this horse?
An iron horse of the 2000 class. You saw those late eye-appealing runs, but it looks like he needs more early speed up front, Al, and I don't think he's going to get it today.
Henry, Wheelaway. I think he's got a decent chance. He's 5 to 1 right now, 5th in the Derby.
Well, as we saw in the Derby, he had the lead at the top of the lane. And you talked about Migliori being too aggressive. Was it that, or did he just come up short?
Then there's Dakota Hills. He won the Lone Star Derby, and the people who run that track in Texas said, if you win a Triple Crown race, we'll throw in $1 million, so he has a bonus at stake today.
If he knows that, he's got the incentive factor, but he hasn't run beyond a mile and 16th, and his jockey, Abar Coe, is running his first Triple Crown race.
We understand that Commendable has lost a shoe. He's being reshot, and we might see a small delay. We'll keep you abreast of that. And one other horse, Henry, that we'll take a look at is Hugh Hefner, who we saw in the Preakness. He's a California-bred horse in the Preakness. He turned in a fairly decent performance. Speed horse. What do you think of him?
Well, that's the question. How far will his speed carry him? That's his advantage. He's going to have the lead. Could be a disadvantage, too, if he goes too quick, and he doesn't seem that he has the stamina.
In other words, Hugh Hefner might be short.
It could be. He was short in the Preakness.
Well, that would be a pretty good headline. There is Commendable, and there is Wayne Lukas, of course. Pat Day is the jockey, and each of those guys numerous times has been to the winner's circle at Triple Crown races. Charles Canty is in the neighborhood. I think perhaps looking
I just had a quick word with Wayne Lukas,
Charles,
and what happened was, I just spoke with Wayne Lukas, and what happened was on this artificial rubber padding they have in the stalls, the horse went to twist, and when he did, he just twisted his shoe. It's nothing serious, and it certainly didn't hurt the horse, but they've got to take the shoe off, straighten it, reattach it, and there's a slight delay, and he'll be fine. That's the story from here.
All right, so Wayne Lukas waiting for his horse to be reshot. Well, Hank, you did a masterful job in the Kentucky Derby, telling us how you thought that race would be won. You did a masterful job again in the Preakness, how that race would be won. This is a 1.5 mile, 1 turn, wide. looping track. How do you see this race being run?
You know, Al, not only is this a great bettor's race, but it's a real rider's race because tactical speed is going to be so important position. Hugh Hefner, as we said, will probably lose the lead early. We'll pick it up on the backstretch where Globalize and Commendable will probably be on the lead. And then Jerry Bailey on Carrool and Richard Migliore on Wheel Away are going to be tucked in about 2 lengths behind looking for that position. Aptitude will move earlier than in the Derby with the slower pace along with Postpone. And then we go to past the far turn where Wheel Away has the lead briefly until the top of the lane when Carrool takes over. Aptitude follows, but he can't catch him. Unshaded goes by Wheel Away. Impeachment is coming on, but he's making a wide move too late. And at the finish, it's Carrool right where he wanted to be. Aptitude second, Unshaded third, Impeachment fourth. Remember, this is a superfecta opportunity, although I would suggest, Al, that you box the top 3 in an exacta.
Henry's won more superfectas than anybody on this planet. Dave, what do you think?
I like Carrool on the exacta, but I'm going to use Wheel Away on top. I think it might be just John Kimball's time. How about you, Al?
You know, I really want to bet Carrool. Hank's choice as well. I came to the track today. He's 15-1. I thought maybe I'd get 10. Right now he is 6-1. So a lot of people think Carrool has a good chance to win the race. Charlesy and Leslie, what do you folks think?
Right now, I'll take central air conditioning, but you know I'm not a bettor, so I'm just looking for the best horse to win the race, and I think that's going to be Aptitude. But if you want some value, back him up with Globalized. Big run at a big price. Leslie?
Well, Charlesy, I think that Unshaded is sort of the Jalen Rose of this group, late developing, occasionally brilliant. He does have a race over the track, and his owner thought enough of him to supplement him for $100,000. I think at the end of the day, Unshaded will be paraded. Jim, who do you like?
Well, I do think that failing air conditioning, Unshaded is the perfect hunch horse pick today. I'm going to pick him to win, but mostly I think because my wife likes him. Soon we should have the call of riders up.
The longest shot on the field starts from the inside, appearing now. Postponed at 12, Commendable 17, Unshaded 5-1. There's Aptitude 9-5, very close to what he was on the morning line at 8-5. Globalized now up to 10-1. Carrool is 7-1. Impeachment is 6-1, despite those 2 third-place finishes in the Derby and the Preakness. Wheel Away at 5-1. Hugh Hefner at 38. And Dakota Hills at 46-1. This field of 11 ready to enter the starting gate, located right next to the finish line. They'll go once around this 1.5 mile oval. 224 Secretariat, the 31 length triumph in 1973. The Belmont Track and Stakes mark. Bob and Beverly Lewis watching their horse Commendable getting loaded into the starting gate. And for the call of the 132nd Belmont Stakes, up we go to Dave Johnson. Dave.
Thanks, Al. And there is Shane Sellers. We just talked to aboard Unshaded. The favorite, Aptitude, moves into line 9-5. The choice here, Globalize. Bobby Frankel, who trains the favorite Aptitude. Looks calm. These are all 3-year-olds. They all carry 126 pounds. Once around the racetrack, they call this racetrack Big Sandy. It's hot here today. Impeachment is in. A roar from the big crowd is just 2 more left to load. And they are 2 long shots. Hugh Hefner is in. And the horse on the outside took Dakota Hills. All set. The starter is Bobby Duncan.
Rick, waiting on you, Rick. Get tied on.
And they're off in the Belmont. Globalize hopped at the start and appearing now spots the field about a length as expected. There goes Hugh Hefner rushing up, grabbing the lead, taking the inside rail with Commendable into second position. And Wheel Away is up close in third, and Richard Migliore moves to the inside to save a little ground at that first turn. And as they swing around the turn, it's Hugh Hefner in front by a length and a quarter. And Commendable is in second position by about 3 lengths. Wheel Away is third. Postponed on the inside is fourth. On the outside, Dakota Hills is fifth. Carrool between horses sixth. Appearing now is seventh. There goes Globalize moving up on the outside 8th. Unshaded is 9th. Gap of 2. Impeachment is 10th. And the favorite Aptitude is 11th and last as they move on to the backstretch. The first quarter in 24 seconds. relatively slow. This track has been really fast this afternoon. Hugh Hefner has the lead and has company as Commendable inches up alongside. 2.5 back. Wheel Away in the orange colors is right there, and Migliore has a handful of horse. He's third and only 2.5 from the front. Dakota Hills is dropping back a bit. Globalize is gaining on the outside. Garul steadies a bit on the rail and is 7th at this point, followed by Postponed. Appearing now, Impeachment. Aptitude has 1 horse beat, and that 1 horse is Unshaded. 3/4 in a very slow 1:14.1 as the field moves to the far turn. And it's still Hugh Hefner on the inside and Commendable on the outside. Those 2 race as a team. Just off the 2 leaders. Wheel Away within striking distance is 3rd at this point. Then a gap of 2 lengths. Globalize is 4th. Hugh Hefner is starting to drop back as Commendable takes the lead by 3/4 of a length. Hugh Hefner on the inside is fading a bit as Wheel Away moves to the outside. Globalize is next, and from the far back of the pack, Unshaded is flying. As the field turns for home, there's less than 1/4 mile to go. Commendable on the inside has the lead. Wheel Away with the orange blinkers. Unshaded on the outside, and here comes Aptitude at the rail. And down the stretch they come in the Belmont. On the inside, it's Commendable digging in. 17th in the Kentucky Derby, but he's digging in. Commendable. Pate aboard. Commendable takes the Belmont. Aptitude second, Unshaded third, and 5 farther back, it was Wheel Away. The magician, D. Wayne Lukas, pulls it off again. The king of the Triple Crown has another crown, and it's Commendable. What a ride. Pat Day aboard the 1.5 in a final time of 2 minutes and 31 seconds. Bob and Beverly Lewis on their way to the winner's circle once again.
To win the Triple Crown, and can't with Silver Charm. They come in last year with Charismatic and can't. They come in here with a horse that finishes 17th in the Kentucky Derby, has 1 lifetime win. That was in his first ever race last August at Del Mar. Hasn't won since. Goes off today at odds of 18-1, and in 2:31 with Pat Day aboard, wins the Belmont Stakes. And for Pat Day, he has now won this race with Tabasco Cat, with Easy Goer, and with Commendable. Pat, you can hear me, I assume. Congratulations. Tell me about the trip.
We had a wonderful trip. I talked with Mr. Lukas in the paddock. He said just try to have an energy-saving ride. We anticipated that Hugh Hefner would show speed off the outside. He said if you can get to the outside of him, sit and wait as long as you can. Exactly what I done. Congratulations, Mr. Lukas.
I cannot hear
great,
Pat, so
great job.
I assume. Okay. All right, let's go to Leslie Visser.
Al, Wayne Lukas said this morning, just when you count them out, that's when they do their best. Congratulations, Bob and Beverly Lewis. How does this compare to your other Belmont wins?
Other Belmont wins? You mean we ain't
I'm sorry,
none.
yes, that's right.
My goodness, we've won 2 Derbies,
yes,
3
right.
Preaknesses, and the elusive Belmont is finally ours.
And much more satisfying than last year.
Oh, yes, much more. We have to look like a well horse coming out of
What did you know about this horse going off at 18-1 that no one else knew?
Well, he's had a 5-week rest. We know, and I was absolutely convinced that showing that he had in the Kentucky Derby was not his race. And something just didn't click that day. And so he's primed, and Wayne is just that unbelievable trainer in that at that point in time when you possibly least suspected, wow, he nails it.
That's true, and I'll see you in the winner's circle.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
back to you, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Well, there is Unshaded, who had made a big and powerful move as the horses turned from home, but obviously getting unsaddled out on the track and in some distress. We hope only minor at this point. We will obviously get an update. Here is Aptitude, who goes off as the favorite at 8-5. But makes a move at the end, comes in on the rail, but could not get by Commendable as Wayne Lukas wins his 4th Belmont. And there are the prices: $39.60, $12.80, and $6.30. You think they'd pay for some better bulbs for the Belmont Stakes. $3.80 and $2.80 for Aptitude finishing second, and Unshaded winds up third. But right now he is being looked at very carefully and tended to on the track. There's the superfecta at the bottom, $9,315, highlighted, of course, by Commendable, who wins this race, going off at odds of 18 to 1. So for Bob and Beverly Lewis, they had Silver Charm, but the third time is really the charm after what happens with Silver Charm and Charismatic. And now let's go back, and Hank, let's take a look at the key point in the race here.
Well, I think the key point is the tracking trip that the Commendable had. You see, as he goes by Hugh Hefner, who had the lead for a good 3/4 of a mile, but he takes over at this point and just goes on. And he was in a perfect spot. Only 5 of 27 Belmont winners have been closers. This horse, we talked about tactical trip. He got the perfect tactical trip. He was probably helped a little bit by the fact that Globalize had problems getting out of the gate. And so he takes over, gets the ground-saving trip. You notice that he stays to the inside. That's where he wants to be. Saved all the ground. And you can see at this point, Aptitude comes up the middle. And Aptitude comes up the middle, up the inside rather. But he just can't get there. He just didn't have the position. He came from dead last, but came up just like in his Derby race behind the winner.
Hank, very few guys, and we watched Pat Day for years, very few guys have a better clock in their head than Pat Day. Knew what the fractions were, knew exactly how much horse he had. Perfect ride. Let's go to Charlesy with Alex Solis.
Alex Solis, Aptitude came from so very far back. There was not a lot of pace up there. Did that hurt you a lot?
It sure did. My horse, the first part, he was sliding a little bit. He didn't feel very comfortable. Going into the first turn, it was a little loose for him. And finally, we got to the backside. He leveled off and got himself in the race. And the other horse just, get away from us and down around the quarter pole. And he just beat us to there. That's all. Sorry.
Good effort for second, but Alex Solis, you've had a tough time in the Triple Crown. A lot of on-the-board finishes, but we'll get you up there on the winner's stand.
Just keep trying, and a lot of faith in God and myself, and we get it done sooner or later.
You'll be there. Okay. Alex, thanks a lot, and we'll go back upstairs.
Thank you, Charlesy. Pat Day and Commendable with the blanket of carnations. It's roses in Louisville. It's black-eyed Susans in Baltimore, and horse is getting a little fractious because there's a lot of action down there in the winner's circle. The gyro cam presented by Hewlett-Packard, helping provide that shot for you as the horses went down the backstretch, and you can see right there that Commendable just stalked the pace setter Hugh Hefner. Pat Day had him well in hand, picked the right time to move him in front of the leader. Hugh Hefner began to fade, and then it was all the way to the wire. In the meantime, there is Unshaded. The initial report is that he is overheated, so they are taking care of him right now, cooling him off. As we look at Lukas, we'll get a report on Unshaded. We'll have all the festivities from the winner's circle. Big Wayne, he's been smiling all week. On stakes now, Commendable winning it. Aptitude finishing second, Unshaded third, then Wheelaway, Impeachment, who finished third in the prior two, fifth here. And there's the rest of the field. You have to set the early fractions. Commendable not only wins, he's only had one win and has not even been in the money since he won. Now, Larry Bramlich has for a long time been our on-site veterinarian. What about Unshaded? We heard he was overheated. What more do you know?
Oh, that's it. He's okay. He's responded well to getting the water run over his head. They're very large animals expending a lot of energy, and it's a hot, humid day here.
Every other horse come out okay?
Everybody else is fine, and he's okay now.
Good. Okay, so that's good news. And as far as the race itself is concerned, the Morgan Stanley Dean Witter measure of success replay coming up as we go to Dave Johnson. Dave.
Well, here is the eventual winner, Commendable. Look at here. Watch the big move by Aptitude. Right there is the horse that will finish fourth, Wheelaway, and Unshaded will come from way out of it. As we take a look, here's a horse, Commendable, who now has 2 wins out of 8 starts, a maiden victory and the Belmont Stakes. On the inside, Solis furiously driving with Aptitude. On the outside, Unshaded is closing, Wheelaway dropping back. But at the wire, it was Pat Day and Wayne Lukas and Commendable teaming up again. And there's the happy trainer and jockey. Commendable did it for them.
Well, here we are with all the happy people down in the winner's circle. Just over my shoulder is Tom Sweeney, the executive vice president of Visa USA. One year you guys got to give away that $5 million, maybe next year. And Tim Smith, the commissioner of the National Thoroughbred Racing Association. Kenny No, the chairman and chief executive officer of the New York Racing Association. I'd have to say that you've had a commendable day this afternoon. Huh?
Thank you, Jim. You know, the New York Racing Association and all of us here appreciate what ABC Sports has done for us. And I think the staff, the management and the crew, and we really appreciate it. And a special thanks, Charles and Dave and Kurt and you, buddy.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Kenny. Time now for the presentation.
Well, it gives me great pleasure, not only to the Lewises who have been great for our sport, a very deserving award for the Belmont, and to Pat and Wayne, who are great credit. It's my pleasure to present you with these trophies and replicas.
Here they are, the big ones in the middle. Nobody can lift that.
You better take two hands.
Bob and Beverly Lewis. You know, I said a little bit earlier on the show that you never know what's going to happen on a racetrack. Last year you came here for victory and a Triple Crown and you found only tragedy. This year you came with a long shot, a horse that had only won a maiden race, and you've won the Belmont. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're going to miss you, Jim.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Having had the pleasure over these recent years to have been in your company on many occasions, we're extremely grateful and wish you Godspeed in all your future undertakings. And we're so pleased to finally have our elusive Belmont Cup. You know, a couple derbies and 3 Preaknesses, but boy, this one just kept escaping us. But we've got it now, so
sure
we're thrilled.
Congratulations
really, we're thrilled.
again.
We offer our congratulations to Wayne for an incredible job training Commendable, and Pat, what a magnificent ride you gave that horse.
No question about it. Yeah, Wayne Lukas has won his 13th Triple Crown race. Over to you, Charlesie.
Well, when we look at the 3960 on the tote board, you realize that hindsight is 20/20, but the Belmont is an enigmatic race, Wayne, and when you look for the conditions for this race, you got to go to a master who's done it all, and you had this horse right in the right spot.
Well, I think you have to look at what you're up against, and not only the configuration of the race and the distance, but I think you have to realize the field that you're faced with and then play the cards that were dealt. We felt that we had a horse that would fit this race very well today, and of course we were the only ones that believed that, but Pat and I felt that we could maybe take advantage of certain things, and I think we were able to.
As we look at Pat crossing the finish line here, Pat, you had the pace judged perfectly, you sat still and you knew exactly where you were, and you had a lot of confidence all the way.
Well, you know, Mr. Lukas and I talked it over in the paddock. We thought Hugh Hefner would show the pace of the race, you know, speed. We just wanted to follow him around there, have a energy-saving ride, and kick when it counted, and he was there for me. My congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis. Certainly my congratulations to Wayne. Great job. We're going to miss ABC.